Hey, hey, hey,
I feel like I
hey,
should be Jerry White. Uh, uh,
hey,
uh,
hey.
that was it. That was it. If you loving our new intro, give it up for Karen Solutions over there. That thing just be like, uh, uh.
Woo!
Oh wow. I don't know. I'm just hype off the song. I don't even think
Listen,
we did anything yet.
listen, it wasn't either. Hey, ain't no worse.
We walking, right? I just felt like I should just be walking a little
Right,
bit.
right, right, right. Oh my goodness. All right, where the
Well,
people
thank
at? Where
you.
the people at? Oh my goodness. What
Thank you,
am I?
thank you, thank you
Am I
for making that. That's it. That's it. Oh man, man, man. This is great. This is
yeah,
great.
I'm supposed to be doing it. I'm supposed to do. Yeah,
Yes, you're
hey
supposed to be
y'all. Hey.
you're supposed to be doing the intro. Yes, you
I'm
are.
about to do this intro right now.
Okay,
Right
break it
now.
down.
I was just hyped. I was just hyped. I'm sorry. So fair.
Be hype at your work. Yes, be hype at your work. Yes, I hear that. If on nobody else
Uh,
root for yourself.
I'm a
You
root
know.
for myself. Listen, you gotta pat your own self on the back. Listen,
Yes.
listen, listen. Encourage yourself.
Do the intro.
Okay, okay. Hey y'all, welcome to the Walking Heavy Show with Sue and Renee. Where there are no title. Oh, hey, yeah, no titles, no position, no religions, no shade, just real talk, real feelings with a little bit of humor and a sprinkle of ratchetness in the mix. As we invite you today to come and put on your walking shoes and walk heavy with us. Welcome, 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 everybody. It's our custom. We're gonna do our check-in. So, Renee, how are you today?
I am good. And hi there, Minister Priscilla. And hey, Story.
Yeah,
Yes.
hey, hey,
Uh,
hey.
you know what? I was feeling a little low until the walking heavy intro. I'll be
Now
honest
we,
with you.
we
I was
might
a
need to
little,
play that again.
no, we ain't doing that. But yes,
We played it outro. It's all right.
okay, that works. That's what we're gonna say bye to them with the outro. Yes, for all the people that missed it in the beginning, they have
Yeah.
to hear and see what you put together for us. It's so amazing. But nah, you know what? I had major dental surgery a
Mhm.
couple days ago. Hey, Tisha, I had a major dental surgery a couple days ago. They put me to sleep and everything. Um, I woke up like just dazed. I was like, I had been out to the club. I haven't felt like that in months since we've been in quarantine. I was excited, but um, so yesterday was a little interested in the recovery. I was a little like yesterday, but today it's a good day and it's not as bad as it could have been. But um, yes, I had three lovely teeth pulled at one
Mm.
time. So it definitely was something to deal with. It was definitely something to deal with. But so today I was a little like, eh.
Mhm.
But I'm telling you, for real, like after that song though, I'm like, I feel like, you know, I feel like I'm ready to walk. I'm ready to walk. That's how I feel. How you feeling?
I'm all right. Listen, that I'm hyped. I'm hyped.
I see.
And I'm
I,
hot. And I'm hot.
oh, those are summer things.
Anyway, did you see my little desk fan? I don't have it
That's
on,
cute. That's
but I
cute.
have the big fan in the back and the desk fan in the front. So you know, but it is hot. I'm on the I'm we call this the Ivory Tower. Well,
Okay.
that's a running joke. My apartment is called the Ivory Tower because it's really like the attic, right? Technically, it is the attic. So we all know that heat rises. So in
Oh,
the summertime, I'm extra hot. I'm just like, oh, I feel like I'm hormonal all the time. I feel like,
well, you look real like islandy today. You have your crocheted kind of skirt
yes,
hanging off the
yes, yes.
shoulder. Priscilla said, "Where the party at?"
The part is wherever you are,
You
that's for
sounded
everybody.
like you should start breakdancing after you did that. Like you did this whole thing. But we are today. We are talking about. Relationship dynamics.
Yes.
Relationship dynamics. Like I felt like because this is Pride Month and this is part of our 4-week series where we're talking to some of the leaders in the community, we're talking about topics that's specific to the LGBTQ community, relationship dynamics, especially right now that we were in quarantine for so many weeks, you know,
Radiance.
we felt like we needed to have this conversation.
Yeah.
You know, maybe help save a life. You know, like, help save. So, you know, I'm just saying, help save a heart or something. And I'm excited because we have one of my favorite people here is Dr. Elyse Ambrose. Like I am like, you know how you have the people that are, I call them utility men when I talk about the pit crew, like people that you follow and the stuff that they say or the stuff that they post and share, like it'd be the stuff that you need to hear that day or whatever the case may be. So I've been following her online for a long time, and she was such a blessing to be part of the symposium. Remember? And so I think that she's like a wealth of knowledge. So I'm excited to have her. Since I'm digging her up, I might as well like talk about the bio. You know what I mean? Dr. Elyse Ambrose is an educator, sexual ethicist, creative, founder of Phoenix Sparks LLC. She works with communities towards shaping values and practices of gender and sexuality justice. Elyse currently serves as visiting assistant professor of ethical leadership and society at Midville Lombard Theological Seminary as a Louisville Institute postdoctoral fellow. I just felt like I was on an award show just now. And the winner is, but welcome, everyone. Put your hands together as we welcome Dr. Elyse. And the winner of the award today. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule and being with us today. We really appreciate it.
Really appreciate it, yes.
Thank y'all for what y'all do.
Yeah, this you know. First, let us check in with you. How are you today?
I don't like to overstate it. I'm all right. All right. It's a beautiful day, and you know, I don't have any complaints. The world is as it is, and it will always be. But you know,
yeah,
we're gonna keep it going.
Right.
Yeah, and Sue, I think we talked about that. We talked about the idea that feeling good when so much is happening around, you almost feel kind of guilty a little bit, you know, to say I'm good. And
yeah. Somebody gotta say. Somebody gotta hold on to. I don't know if it's hope or just like some sense of I'm not going to let what's going on outside of me determine who I am and how I'm going. Otherwise, I'd be shifting every minute of the day. It seems like.
Right. I think about what I've been saying since I think since quarantine like really started, or when it started really getting to most of us, is being intentional about finding joy. So there is something, you know, with everything that's going on around us, or all of the death and all of the turmoil. You know, we know things are born out of chaos. You know. Uh-oh.
I know I'm having an issue. Sorry. No. I got an error that we're not broadcasting. So I just wanted to check and make sure. But we are. Yeah, apparently.
But yeah, so I think yes, we can feel empathy, feel sorrow, be angry, you know, AF, and still find joy and be intentional about finding joy, because that's the only thing that's going to keep us.
Yeah, that's black. That's Black queerness. We're all this stuff at the same time of joy, of grief, of celebration and of sorrow, whatever it is. So I mean, embrace that. The multiplicity, that's life.
Right. Right. And that's kind of why we wanted to talk about relationships today, because people in romantic and platonic relationships have been greatly affected between COVID, between what's happening in the world, and just regular everyday hormonal what we do. So we kind of touched on it last week when we talked about I think someone talked about we talked about labels, and we were talking about how people kind of change or try to show up a certain kind of way for people just to be with people. And that's how the whole conversation about relationship dynamics happened, because we were saying that not every relationship is the same.
Right.
And there has to be some accepting of who a person is when they come into the relationship and as they continue to evolve. And if you can't deal with that, then let them go.
Yeah.
So that they can grow into whoever they need to be.
Yeah.
And so that you can be whoever it is that you're trying to be, right?
Yes, Lord.
So you could be all that you didn't know you could be.
Right.
It's a real thing. A whole new worlds open up when you let go.
Yeah, and I'm a Virgo, so that was hard to learn. That's like, we like to like absolutely be in control and know what's going to happen. We plan the argument out before it even occurs. We think of all the good stuff we're going to say, and that moment, we like, I know this is going to be. I'm a jugular fighter. Like, I don't like to argue with people because I'm coming for the throat, and I know that. So over years, I had to learn to be better. And look at what I truly wanted the outcome to be, opposed to me wanting to just hurt the person because I feel hurt. Because I'm gonna hurt you. I am, but I don't always get to come back from that.
Right.
That's a little bit of are you from New York originally?
I'm from Philadelphia. I'm from North Philly.
A Virgo mixed together. And we better watch out. Don't cross you.
But you know what you learn about yourself. And that's that wasn't a good trait of mine, because you can't undo, like I said, you can't undo the things you say. So if you're telling your partner all the time, I love you, you're the most amazing thing that ever happened to me, I don't know where I would be without you, thank you for all that you do. But then when you're mad, you're calling them a bunch of bees, and you're telling them that you hate them and you wish you never met them, and all the things that come with that. They won't know what's true anymore.
Yeah.
So there's no place to go from that, because the next time on a good day, when you tell them that they're the best thing that ever happened to you, in the back of their mind, they're going to remember that you told them, they were stupid and couldn't read.
Right.
Especially if you have trouble reading.
Yeah.
So I just,
that's hitting below there. But it takes a level of self-awareness to be like, these are my habits. These are the things that tend to happen when I'm under stress, or when I'm feeling threatened, or when I'm feeling insecure, whatever. And having that level of self-awareness will prevent you from saying what you don't want to say, doing what you don't want to do, and then coming back with baby please, and hoping that works, right?
Right, because it doesn't.
Save yourself the trouble. Yeah. Save yourself.
And so, thank you, Pastor Kim. I'm definitely a Philly John. I don't know if you can see the comments that are coming in, Doc, but in the corner of our screen, there's a button that says comments. And that's when you'll be able to see everything that everyone is saying. We neglected to tell last week. So right in the corner of our screen is where you can see all the live comments and hear people talking about what it means in dynamics of relationship.
Right.
Well, I can't see them, so I need you to give me the play-by-play.
Okay. No problem. So when we talk about relationship dynamics, what do you think is the core to creating a good type of relationship?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we've spoken to it to an extent, and I think it is above all self-awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by self-awareness is this reflection on the self, a knowing of the self that not only can prevent, I guess, these unnecessary arguments or these words that will harm and you can't take them back, but I think it sets you up to be aware for when you're going somewhere you don't want to go.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like every relationship is a guide of some sort, and that's romantic, that's non-romantic, that's um, your parents or what have you. They are guiding you in some kind of way because we are one another's companions in this life, right?
Yeah.
And we're
Right.
social people, so we learn from one another. And so, if there's a sense of self-awareness, um, I think that when you're being guided with someone, you can still retain your sense of self without bleeding into who they are, without demanding of them that they be more like you or whatever the case is.
Right.
But having the self-awareness to be like, you know what, this is maybe hitting a core wound in my childhood, and this is actually not about this person. This is about the fact that my mom gave my brother cookies that one day, and I didn't get any cookies, and nobody asked me if I wanted cookies. So now I feel like I have to keep things to myself. And it's like, hey, this is maybe 20, 30 years later. That's
Right.
not happening right now, but it's a core wound. And it
Mhm.
lasts. And if we can recognize our core wounds, I think that we can respond to trauma and triggering effectively. And we can show up as our authentic selves in the relationship to the extent that we won't be demanding more of people than they ought to be giving in a relationship, nor overextending ourselves more than we should be giving in a relationship.
Yeah.
There's also, I have to put in this other part because it lends itself to this part about reciprocity and mutuality. And I have this idea about relationships with other people and with like the earth and with like everything that we encounter, that we are in a give and receive ecology. I'm giving, I'm receiving. I'm giving, I'm receiving. And when we get into this space where we giving, and ain't nobody giving nothing back, how you start acting? You start being ugly. You start
Yeah.
bucking up. You start being resentful. You start
Right.
because
Right.
Right.
low. So that self-awareness coupled with this ethos of reciprocity and mutuality, I think are like central.
Yeah, you said something I thought that was very profound, which was um, expecting more out of people than they're able to give.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, we
Really.
right, right, because sometimes we also give them the responsibility to make us happy. When I work with couples and I say that, I hear them say things like, "Well, they don't make me happy," and I go, "So what does that mean to you?"
Right.
Because they can't make you happy. They
Right.
can make you comfortable within the relationship,
Mm-hmm.
but you can be happy and have a jacked up relationship.
Right.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, what is it that you're expecting them to give? And what does it mean when you think that you're giving more? Like, what does that look like? Do you
Yeah.
have a conversation and say, hey, I've been doing this all the time and this is how I feel? Or do you, shut down and go on strike, go on strike, so to speak?
I no.
Like,
And they just confused. They don't know why you acting that way. You mad.
so what can you say? Some people to sometimes say, well, how do you de-escalate something? Or how do you bring something to the table as, where the other person can receive it and it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
sound like a gripe or insult?
Yeah. Well, I think that a lot of that will depend on personality, and what are your primary means of communicating well. But also, I think when we talk about being in relationships of reciprocity and mutuality, again, I think it's this, we have to be mindful of, are we on the same wavelength with this person? Because I think that you can bring your very righteous concern to someone, and if they're not in a place spiritually, emotionally, mentally to receive it, you can hand it to them wrapped in a gold bar,
Right.
and be like, why why are you being like this? Why are you? And it won't matter, right?
Right.
So there is an assumed level of um, maturity, an assumed level of trust in the relationship, and an assumed level of being able to hear about yourself without having a meltdown, just to put it in simple terms, right? So I would advise, if someone is particularly good at articulating themselves by writing, I would write it down. And if you want face-to-face conversation, I've done this because my best way of communication is writing. So I'll be like, hey, I've been reflecting on some things that I want to bring to the table, and I have my paper, and I will read it, because I know that sometimes, let's just be transparent. I know that being socialized as a woman, I have a people-pleasing tendency. So if this is making a face when I'm bringing my gripe, I might start changing my language and being like, "Uh-oh, I feel like I've offended them. I feel like I've hurt them."
Yeah, this is
And
good. Yeah.
like, if I'm able to write it, I can stick to what I'm trying to say, and then be open to the conversation that follows that. For people who have a bit of a temper, it may be better. It's okay to walk away if you need a moment. If you gotta go to the bathroom, you need to cry. If you need to be like, I cannot believe I'm having this conversation again, you can do that in another room. You don't have to do that in the presence of the person.
Right.
That's raising guards, right? And it's creating a barrier where there doesn't necessarily have to be one, where you can do this processing on your own before you enter the conversation, I think.
I so in listening to you and just listening to the both of you, what's coming up for me, there's a few things that came up for me. First, we talked about the self-awareness, right? And I'm of the opinion that if everyone just did their inner work, if everybody did their inner work, then we would have less conflict with each other in relationships, because everyone would know what their triggers are, would know where these things, where these things that come up for them are, will not have this expectation that somebody else will make them happy, because when you have that expectation, then you're just doomed for failure, right? You will never ever live up to somebody else's expectation if we are the source of their happiness, right? We just never do that. But and I talk about a lot about this on this show, this doing the inner work. Do your work. Do
Yeah.
your inner work. There's many of us that don't come to this realization. Dr. Elyse, you said like 20, 30 years later. Yeah, so even if it's 20, 30 years later, do the work.
Mm-hmm.
Do the work, so that you and whoever you are with, hopefully, prayerfully, they're doing the work. I would even preface it to say, if the person you're with is not also doing their work, then don't be with them.
Wow.
Yeah, because you got to do your work too, because what you won't do is throw your stuff off on me and expect me
Say
to
that.
hold that. Expect me, yeah. I'm not gonna carry that. I'm carrying my own ish, right? I can't carry yours as well. We can help shoulder each other's burden, but I'm not gonna carry it for you. And a lot of times, when people have not done their inner work, they expect whoever the person that they are in relationship with, and it's just not, not just like a love relationship, right? Even platonic relationships, right? Even spiritual relationships, right? We want the other person to carry stuff for us.
Mhm.
So yeah, please do your work. Walk into or step into your own self awareness.
Yeah.
so that you know what works for you, what does not work for you, what is healthy for you, what is healing for you, and what is harmful for you. Um, uh, uh, yeah, and so that you can address the roots of your issues, because we all have them. You
Mm-hmm.
get to the bottom of these things that are really preventing you and holding you back from, uh, living your best life is so cliche right now, but from living your best life, right? Yeah, do your inner work. That's all I have to say for
And
Let
now.
me let me jump in real quick to let
Yes.
the viewers know that I'm having a glitch on my end as far as commenting and responding to you. So if I don't answer you in the comments, please know that I see them and I will address them verbally, but I can't type to you because it's saying that it's not coming up on your end. So
to that point about doing your work, yes. And and I think that uh I want to add, like, not even doing your work to perfection, because I feel like a lot of people are like, I'm trying to get myself together before I enter a relationship,
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
I want somebody when I meet them to have this quality, quality, quality. Okay, all right, cool, but humans are still humans,
Yes.
and and people are triggered by any number of things and have experienced so much in however many years that they've been on the planet. And I think that what we ought not do is demand of one another perfection, but I think that, and I'm not saying that you're saying that, but I think
Right.
that many demand perfection. And I think that what we might owe each other as humans, human to human, what we owe one another is sincerity. And in that sincerity, a willingness to say, you know what, maybe there are some things I don't know, but I'm working
right, right,
toward, right? And I don't expect to even have arrived,
Hmm.
because who knows? I mean, I always think of healing in terms of a journey. I don't think that it has an end. And so I will frequently just be living my life, and then bump up against something.
Hmm.
And I was with some friends the other night, like bump up against something, and I'm like, dang, I thought I dealt with that already, and now I have a whole new, maybe my new self at this age, or at this unique juncture of experiences, is approaching this same problem in form
Hmm.
in myself. And so I'm constantly in the process of healing. I'm constantly working toward my work and some sort of sense of wellness.
Right.
But are you willing to journey with me in that, realizing that we're all human
Right.
and we can do this together?
Right. Right. And I think that's really where I was going. I mean, nothing is absolute, but if I'm trying to do my work, if I'm trying to do my inner work, I would want whoever I'm with to do their work too.
Right.
Can we both do our work together? Can we journey? Can we walk with each other, right? As we are doing this in the work, right? So that when those things come up, we recognize them immediately. So so you can say like, "Ooh, okay, yeah, I know where that came from." Um,
Mm-hmm.
you could stop yourself, or even if you've already like crossed a line, you could be like, okay, yeah, so let me backtrack a little. I know where that came from. um you know uh, uh and that's all about being vulnerable and transparent, and whatever with who you are with, or who you are having relationship with, and that, again, not just love relationship, not but also you know I think any type of intimate type of relationship, you're able to say, you know what, I'm not having a good day today, or I'm trying to understand what you're saying to me, but I'm hearing it this way, and the
Yep.
way I'm hearing it is not the way, may not be the way you intended it, right? But because I'm coming at it from my own lens, from my lived experience, from the work that I'm still doing on myself, I'm taking it in a certain way. So we're able. It really enhances our communication when we are both, moving towards self awareness. Um, you know. Uh, within ourselves. So,
And Miss Joyce said, if you've done your work, a tune up from time to time is good too. And
Yeah.
it is. There's always this moment of check in
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
with yourself, or there should be. And now I don't necessarily, and I'm gonna push back a little bit on the if you're not doing your work, then I can't be with you kind of thing, just a little bit, because for me, I I I know what it's like to have somebody drop you because you're not doing your work. You know what I mean? And it was just like, oh crap, where did they go? Like, but I felt horrible because I was trying. And this was around the time that this is many years ago. I didn't know I was bipolar, right? And so I was trying to figure out all of these things, and within me, I was having all these meltdowns and all this other stuff. And I had been with the person for a nice amount of time, and they were just like, "Yeah, I can't do this." And I
Mhm.
was just like,
Yeah.
so for me, I try to give the benefit of the doubt to understand that there may be other things going on. I think when it starts to become unsafe for me, because I'm a love person, like I love love, and
Mhm.
so I'll hang in that I'll hang in that piece until like it's hanging on by the track, you know. And instead of working at it, I've done some not great things. I mean, now in this point in my life, I'm able to piece things together differently. But back then, I would, cheat. I would, do all kinds of things. I would open relationships, trying to fix relationships,
Mhm.
just different dynamics because I didn't have the tools
Mhm.
for myself. And I definitely didn't have the tools for a relationship. I was barely making it on my own, and I felt like if I had someone, then that would make me whole.
Mhm.
I didn't want to be alone to deal with what was going on. I figured being with someone else would figure out a way to make me okay.
Mhm.
Mhm. And we feel that way sometimes. But what I think also, because of our nature as humans, um, being shaped in community, being shaped by a family unit, I don't know, being going through life in so many different sorts of communities where we're used to, and I think the of humanity to be connected with other people to journey with you along the way, and they become your teachers. They become, as my partner would say, medicine. They become um, many things to you throughout the duration of your relationships. And I think what's important, and I take your point, Renee, and I also think like what's important is understanding one's capacities. I think that some people can um, gracefully and uh, with joy be in difficult circumstances without losing themselves, without breaking down, without losing a sense of hope and value in themselves or their lives. Some
Right.
people don't have capacity for that. So again, with this point of self-awareness, if you are the kind of person who actually only has about this much capacity for the, but the person you're with is giving you this much, the best thing for everybody to do is to depart, because we don't have what one another needs.
Right,
We
right, right.
not even show up well for one another. You know what I mean? I think about like frequently we want to say, oh, this person is experiencing XYZ. I don't want to leave them. I don't want to leave them. But what if what that person needs at that moment is a different sort of relationship, a different kind of realization of themselves that they can only get apart from you, but you holding
Right.
on because you don't feel bad, or you holding on because you want to hurt somebody. And I think we do more damage. I think we do more damage when we're out of a place
Come
of,
on, Doc.
acting out of a place of desperation, or acting
Mm-mm.
of um again, using this paradigm that my partner has shared with me out of a place of scarcity. Like they're in good else. I am a Libra and I love love. And I believe there is always more love. You can leave that situation. There are, I don't know how many people on this planet. You probably could be attracted to a fourth of them. Come on. You can't be sticking around with stuff you don't have the capacity for. You holding everybody up. We holding everybody up, wasting our time.
Right.
Like,
Right.
Yeah.
And we can't feel guilty.
Guilt is not.
Yeah.
Sometimes maybe there's a place for guilt, but I don't think it's very helpful in relationships.
It is not. And when someone in a relationship has to do what's best for their own sanity and own self-care, yes, there is a level of for me anyway, there's a level of guilt that comes with that, because of course you don't want to hurt the person that you love, right? Mm-hmm. But you recognize that, yeah, for me to live, I need this to die. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I need this to die so that I can live. But yes, there is a certain level of guilt that comes with that, because you don't want to hurt but it's the people that you love.
Quitting is an act of care.
I'm type that somewhere. Quitting is an act.
Put it up. Put it up for the screen, Renee.
I quit jobs because I knew I couldn't show up as my best self at that job anymore.
Yeah.
And at home, twiddling their thumbs, wishing that they had my job. So I need to get out of the way so that they can play. And relationships where I've been like, you know what? If I continue to hold this person captive, I'm keeping them from the true love that awaits them.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to feel away. I don't want to feel guilty. I don't want to feel like I gave up. I don't want to feel like,
put that back. Save yourself.
Actually, self-centered. Save yourself.
That was from last week, but it fits right here.
It sure did.
It fits right here. I know I got some cash somewhere, child. You need the offering plate. This is good. Go ahead, Doc. Go ahead. Keep going.
Keep on walking heavy. Walk on heavy. Walk heavy.
No, I'm just saying. An authentic step in the direction that you believe is where you are being led to go is what is best for everyone that you will ever encounter. I think people are their faces are turned up, they mad because they're not doing the things that they want to be doing.
Right.
They're upset. Why do people hate queer people? Because queer people out here living their best lives, they're having fun, and you mad because you found.
Yes.
Get on bound.
Yes.
Get on bound.
And the Radiant said it. When a person or situation does not match, it is not in alignment with your greater good. It will ultimately end. Yeah. And it will end by force if it has to. When it ends by force, it could include embarrassment. It could include the cops. Like, it could really include something for real when you are forced to end something that had been needing to end. And how you know it needed to end? If you've called your good friends more than 4 or 5 times, hysterically crying that you just need to get away from this, it was
Save yourself.
Now I'm not going to say counseling and all of that other stuff doesn't work, because it can, but it takes a massive, and I'm speaking of this from a person that does that kind of mediation work. It takes a massive amount of work, and it takes a massive amount of dedication on both parties to undo the desire to redo what they thought they had.
Both parties.
Right.
Both.
Right.
Yeah. Can't be just one person shouldering the entire relationship.
Right. Or the entire healing for the relationship.
Right.
Because some people will kind of channel back and say, well, if they want it, they'll make it work. If they want it, they'll do what it takes to make it work. Well, if they're not doing what it takes to make it work, why you not either leaving or trying to put some things in place to try to assist in helping making it work? You can't check out a question just came up, so I'm gonna if anyone would like to comment on what I just said, I want to give the opportunity. But there's a question on the floor that I'm gonna bring up after this.
Well, I just want to say, one time I was talking to my my aunt, and she was telling me about an abusive relationship she was in, and she told me about how she tried to make it work. And then one day she just kind of had an epiphany, and she was like, it should not be this hard to be in a relationship with somebody. It should not be this hard. And I don't think she meant that it shouldn't be some effort. I don't think she meant that it shouldn't be some challenges from time to time. But I think if you're having more hard times than good times, there's more love out there. That's just what I took from her in that situation, and that there is a sort of flow that goes with aligning yourself with someone in the right place, in the right time, and in the right direction. I think there's a flow that accompanies that, personally.
Yeah. Back in the day, and even now, I guess it depends on who you are and what your upbringing was. There's a sense that, and we're talking more right now. I'm talking about marriages, or there was a sense that once you got married, that was it. Um, you know, and so people say, well, my grandparents stayed together for like 80 something years and this and that. And but do you know what usually the woman had to go through in order to stay in that situation? We don't know what happens behind the scenes. And some people have given up the entirety of who they are, the entirety of themselves, in order to be able to shoulder the weight of the toxicity of some of these marriages.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful that we are in I guess we're in a time now uh where people are just like, nah, I'm not doing that. Yeah, no, I can't do this. And so I wanted to, and if it's okay, Renee, to shift it a little bit.
Well, there's a question that
There's a
came up.
question.
Yeah.
All right. So after
gonna
that, then I want to shift it because I want Dr. Elyse to get into the dynamics of her relationship and talk some more about that.
Okay.
Okay.
So first, we're going to go. Fern asked the question: what if you didn't even know there was a problem in your relationship?
Mm. Did you not know? I'm speaking from my listen. Okay, so
Right, all of our answers are from
right from
our
our lived experience. Did you really not know that there was a problem? Because one of the things that I know that we are born with, we are, some people call it intuition, some people call it conscious, some people call it whatever. Something says to you that there is something amiss, or you see something, or you sense something, and you may not recognize it as a problem. Um, but something something, it's an unease. I think, I mean, for my lived things, there's an uneasiness that even in the happiest of times, in the most joyful of times, in the midst of your relationship, there's an uneasiness that makes you think something. There's something that, and then you don't like, let's say, it's not fixed, and so you go your separate ways. then you begin to, part of the reason why we are often angry when we go our separate ways, and there's always this conflict and bumping up the heads, is because, yeah, we saw that, we sensed that, and we didn't pay attention. One of the things that Bishop Alan Spencer, rest in peace, um, uh, said, that talked about the little foxes. And if you don't address the little foxes, meaning the little things, right? The little issues, the little tick tick tick, things that some people just really ignore. But if you don't address those things, um, those little foxes, they can just damage up your whole garden. Like, it becomes this big issue that it takes a long time to go back and try to rectify. And so, um, those little foxes don't necessarily mean that you should part, but it's when they're not addressed, when you don't address them, when you don't take care of them, when you don't talk about them and do something, and try, at least try to do something about them, then they become something that is really hard to bounce back from.
Hmm.
Mhm.
I,
Hmm.
I'm interested on Dr. Elisa's thoughts on this because I'm going to front. I've been duped. I've been duped.
Mhm.
I've thought everything was great, or that we were working towards healing, or working towards a goal, or whatever, and then find out some well hidden, well manipulated,
Mm,
like stuff. So
Mhm.
I might not be the person to respond to that the right way, because I have had situations where later on I found out 752 things I didn't even have any idea about. And maybe I didn't have an idea about the things. Maybe I was
Hmm.
like,
mhm,
but I didn't know what they were. And when I found out what they were a hell of a lot worse than
mhm,
what I even
Mhm.
remotely thought. So I'm a pass the torch on that, because I have been duped that way.
mm,
Yeah. Well, I believe in intuition, and I think that some of us um, trust in our intuition and therefore hear from it frequently and are able to respond accordingly. But I think some people are really good actors, and some people are really good at hiding what's actually taking place, and that may have been a defense mechanism that they picked up at some point. They're
yeah.
really, really good at it.
Yes.
And I guess to the question of what if I didn't know anything was wrong? Yeah, I guess I feel like I situate myself in a different part of that sort of questioning. I'm more in the mindset of, okay, I didn't know, and now what?
Right.
Mhm.
Because I mean, there comes a time when you get played, we get played, okay,
Yeah,
and,
we all get played. Yeah. Mm.
and what
Played
do
with
you
a capital PL.
Put that up.
what, what do you do with that
Mm,
afterwards is the question. And I think that if I look over my own journey after
mhm,
being played, what did I do? I took a break from the dating.
mhm.
I, I took a break from the dating to try to learn the lesson from the duping that just took place.
Mhm.
And
Mhm. Yeah.
part um part of our challenge as human beings is to lean into vulnerability. Vulnerability means that you have the ability to be hurt by someone else now because you are exposed, you
Right.
are vulnerable.
Right.
And so if you get hurt, one thing I've learned after the many times I've been hurt, after my heart has been broken many times, there's another day, and then
Mhm.
another day, and then another day. And then at some point, it matters less and less and less. And I'm not saying that you just get over it. I allot myself time.
Mhm.
I give myself a designated period of time to work with the grief and let the grief flow and let the forgiveness that I need to give to myself for getting played flow, and let whatever release I need to do with them flow. You can forgive if you want. You don't have to. It's my opinion. You don't have to forgive, but you do have to let it flow through you. You do have to release it because you're gonna be stopped up if you're waiting on an apology from them, or waiting on them to change, or waiting on them to admit that they did wrong, especially that last one, because they're not gonna do it. They're gonna you did wrong, especially if they're really good at hiding. So what do you do afterwards? Okay, you didn't know, and what will you do after to watch out for those red flags next time, or to maybe even temper your expectations so that when a part of your world crumbles, the entire world doesn't crumble.
That's good.
That's good.
That's good.
That's good. So,
Hey, hurt.
yeah, no, that's good. You know, hurt my feelings a little bit.
Well, that's why you the doctor.
Yeah, because I've had my world crumble. I've had it crumble, and it's hard to climb out of that. You know, I could cry, like, you know, but I don't want the magnetic lash to fall off, right? You know, when you think, especially when you're a certain age, like I'm a woman of a certain age. You know, I'll be 45 in a couple of months, and I thought that I was set. I thought that I wouldn't have to do this again. I thought that I was exempt now, you know, married, kid, you know, all of that other, you know, everything was in place. Everything was in place, and then it wasn't. And it happened to be wasn't when everything else wasn't. No job, no this. So next thing I know, I'm on my friend's couch trying to figure out what to do. Pull up in fetal position for hours just trying to figure out what to do. When your world just crumbles underneath your feet and you have to start all over again, it makes you show up differently.
Yeah.
But what I was surprised about is I thought it was going to prevent me from loving again. Like I was angry all the time. I was like, and because of the dynamics of my relationship, which we'll, you know, talk about in a few, it made me not, I couldn't even watch movies that remotely reminded me of I'd be like, could you set that off, please?
Yeah.
You know, it was devastating, but what it did was make me treat myself a lot different. It made me like have to sit with myself and ask myself, what am I attracting into my life, and what is it about me? Because I stopped making it about the other people, because who they are, they're going to be, whether they're with me or someone else. And when it's time for them to make changes in their journey, they'll do that. But I wanted to know what changes I could make in my journey so that I would be better supported in my moving forward. And I was able to do that. And now I look at my life, and most of my entire life is different. You know, about 85% of my entire life is different. Yeah. I know 85% and entire didn't really go together, but thank you.
That's all right. You let you have that.
Appreciate all the doctors in the room allowing me to screw that up a little bit.
I never forget, and I'm just gonna make this really quick point because it came up for me while you were just talking, Renair. One of my exes, and it was one of those situations where, you know, like I was played, and really didn't see it coming. And when at the end, when I found out that she'd written, yes, that played is the word of the day. So when I found out that she'd been cheating, like had this whole other relationship, like a whole other relationship going on, and I was like devastated. And I couldn't understand, did not see it, just didn't see it at all. Um, and I remember at the end, I was on the floor crying, And I was just devastated. And she was like, "Get up." She said that she said, I did what I did to you, or I do what I do to, because you've given me all of your power. She said, you gave me all of your power. And that is why I could do what I do. And that is why I did what I did. Because you, and for that, so I just feel sorry for everyone else that came after, because
Did you kick her in the leg? Because you said you was on the floor. But
that,
did you kick her?
they're what?
Did you kick her?
No, because I was just like, I didn't realize I did that.
Mm.
I didn't realize that I did that I was so invested in making this relationship work. And I tell anybody that, that talks to me, like, I was raised to be a wife. If you are a girl child in a West Indian household, you raised to be a wife, right? So so I thought that I was doing everything that I was supposed to do in the relationship, and divesting everything. Just, you know, did not realize that I gave over all of my power to her.
Mm.
And so when she said that to me, I mean, that I think that broke me more than
Mm-hmm.
what than the experience, right? That those words broke me more. And so one of the things I love about broken bones is that when you set it right, it heals stronger than before the break. So I heal start those, those words were like my broken bones. And
Mm.
so I had to get it set right so that I could heal, so that now I'm healed stronger than I was before the break. And the reason I said I'm sorry for all the people that came afterwards, that I also had to, not go all the way to the other side and say, you can't have nothing. I
Mhm.
can't give you anything.
Set
Set
right. I
right.
spelled that. Yeah, just like that. Don't say I spelled it wrong. I spelled it like that on purpose. Set right. Yes.
Um, so I had to get to the place where I found that balance, where I wasn't, where I'm like, oh well, I'm never giving anybody anything. I'm never opening up myself to anybody. I'm never going to be vulnerable, and I'm never going to do that. I had to, and that's not a good way to be either. I think love is such a precious gift that even after you've been hurt, and after you've been broken, and after you've been torn down, the ability to still be able to love is such a precious gift. Like, I would not give that up for anything. You
Mm,
know, I don't want to be someone that can't feel anymore. I still want to feel. I still want to be able to love. That is, and so, if anyone that can make it out of situations where, they've been hurt and they've been broken, and people have mistreated them, and people have abused them, and belittled them and demeaned them, and can still love,
yeah.
can
Yeah.
still feel something like that, is
Mm.
that is so precious. That's so precious. Anyway, God, this hour, man, just went
I
by.
know. And if Dr. Lee could give us like 10 more minutes, that would be
Yes,
great. Because I just
I'm
want
cutting
to
up.
take. Is that okay? Can we have 10 more minutes of your time? Great.
Huh?
Thank you so much. We just want to take a moment now and shift the conversation just a little bit, because one of the things that often comes up, especially in conversation and in different types of community, is, well, what about what if my relationship doesn't look like everyone else's?
Mhm.
Whether it's, last week we talked about femme, stud, those labels that people give. But we also talk about monogamy versus consensual non-monogamy.
Mhm.
Like, how does that show up in the world? So before we end, because you cannot, have a conversation about relationship dynamics and not talk about relationship dynamics. So can you share with us a little bit about your relationship?
Sure. So I am in a polyamorous configuration. I myself would not identify as polyamorous, and I could say more about that in a minute. But I am with a woman partner who is partnered with myself and her partner of about 10 years now. And yeah, they've been together for about 10 years, and we've been together for about 3. And 3? Yep, for about 3 years. And it's in that life is happening. So as it so happens, my partner's partner lives in another state, but because he was going to school, but under different circumstances would be living in New York. It's just, it's weird in New York right now, and and in the world in general. But he's located in another state and also has another partner, and we're located here in New York City. We live together right now, and sometimes we don't, and sometimes we do. We get along very well, so living together is pretty natural, and it's kind of just like, oh, I've been staying here for all this time, so I might as well just stay. And what makes sense for us, and we take care of each other in that way, and it works. Yeah, that's us in a nutshell.
And how did you deal with people that may say, that's not how it works?
Yeah, I don't deal with people who on my relationships, and I really never have. That has never been. I've never felt the inclination to respond because people have thoughts about my relationships. I do think from time to time, I think because, it is a queer relationship, it is polyamorous, it doesn't involve many of the accoutrements of adulthood that we strive toward in this country, like children, house, and home, and dog, and even though there are dogs, but it doesn't have those accoutrements that say this is a real relationship. And so sometimes, because of my own trauma related to coming from a household where I thought a relationship was going fine, and then all of a sudden my entire 11-year-old world was ruptured. I'm looking for markers from time to time to say that everything is okay. And part of my journey, whatever's going on outside, as we said at the top of the show, whatever is going on outside, this is where security is. This is where safety is. And that can't be compromised happening outside of me. And so then I don't have to be in control of my environment outside. I don't have to force. I don't have to contort. I don't have to try to orchestrate this personal world what's inside. And it may sound cliche to some extent, but it is true. When someone says nobody can shackle a free person, it's true. If I'm free inside, things may be taking place around, and things may be enacting upon me. And I can even be saying to the Black person, things may be enacting on me, putting me at risk, making me feel like I'm a problem, making me feel like I'm constantly under the threat and of death. But I have to have a different sort of assurance within myself.
Yes, Jesus.
I am free.
I am free.
Right? I am, whether I am with this person or not with this person, whether this person stays with me or leaves, I'm me. And that's good. I'm going to go on. If it's the last thing I do. But thankfully, I feel that, as Sue was pointing out, being in a polyamorous configuration requires, I think, people who are doing some kind of work, and people who have that capacity to say, hey, something's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not feeling it. Let's talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You can't be no mealy mouth. You can't be no well, I just want to please you. You're gonna get lost in the show.
Right. Right.
You're gonna get run over. Because why? Because it's not somebody else's responsibility to say what you need. It's your responsibility to say what you need.
Girl.
Not somebody else's responsibility to make sure you're okay. It is your responsibility to say, hey, not okay. And then it is their responsibility to show up and say, I give a damn that you're not okay.
Right.
If they don't show up, then deuces. Farewell. Deuces.
And I want to add something to that. Because I want to bring this up because this was something that I had to learn. Because I identify as a polyamorous person, whether I'm consenting monogamous or not. But there was a time when I didn't realize that you couldn't do all of these things without communication and honesty. And you can't do these things trying to fix other things.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was, in my brain, I was younger then, let's do this. Because maybe if we do this, then you can get what you need and we can be okay.
Mm.
But inside of that kind of mentality creates drama. More drama than a person really would want to live with, because again, it takes a certain amount of honesty.
Yeah.
And so what I found was, I thought I was being honest, and I found out other individuals weren't being honest. And this was like a few of my experiences. And then I had to stop and check me. Like, what was I doing, again, to facilitate what was happening? And now, I have learned that since this is who I am, because I only can speak about me, I can't speak for anyone else. I needed to fix some stuff in me. So that the next time a relationship happened, if this was something that we agreed to do, or this was a part of me that the person was accepting, because I had already concluded I wasn't going into anything else lying about myself, right? Then I've learned that when I move from a place of love and healed relationship, and everything is communication and honesty outside of that, what began to happen was it started showing up differently in my life. But it took some very explosive situations and embarrassment and whatever else for me to figure out what was really happening. And it wasn't pretty, but I thought it was pretty because I would be out, with my booze. I would be doing my thing, and everybody looked. I thought I was free, but I wasn't free. I was just creating a different type of jail. Because when things like that explode, they explode differently on a whole totally different scale. So now I still show up as my true self, but I'm healed from some childhood trauma and some personal trauma, so I get to participate in it a little differently. But and then I also had a therapist and other things that could help me work through that, because I was helping other people work through that, doing workshops, everything, but I wasn't worked through that. So I say that to anybody, because a lot of people think, oh, I'll just go do this, and it gets confused with other shit. And I call shit.
Right.
It gets confused with other shit. It's cheating.
Yeah.
It's manipulation. It's other stuff, and it's not I just have a larger capacity to love. That's how I try to get people to. That's it. It's not any of the other stuff. So, what are some of the myths that people think about how your life shows up?
Good question.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe you can tell I don't go looking to hear.
You're fortunate. You're very fortunate because, I wasn't looking to hear either, but because of the circles I was in, I was in ministry, very, different kind of circles. So it showed up as judgment. It showed up as cheating. It showed like it was really, I was talked about. I was shamed. I was quite a few things. So
Right.
you were fortunate.
I can think through that because I think there's things that are articulated, and then there's other things that are more like maybe questions or well, maybe the question of, well, how does that work might come up, right? And the connotation of work could have behind it 30 other questions about, well, where does this person sleep? And what happens when you want to do that? And what happens? Okay, all those things that are, I think, personal to an extent, but also, okay, so maybe some people just have curiosities, and there's a way in which you just want to understand for your own pursuit in the future, or you want to just gain some insight. I get that, but I feel like maybe one thing that may come up from time to time is the notion of if somebody enters a relationship, if they're already in a relationship and they enter a relationship with someone else, then maybe they were displeased with the previous person, or you are their hobby while they are getting away from this other situation. And maybe that I think that comes up particularly with as I've observed it, a generation or two above mine. I feel like it's been women in their 50s who have brought that to me in a way. And it sort of makes me wonder, like, what is their larger thought process around relationships in general and how love relationships function? So I sort of come from a place of I want to switch. So I'm going to switch to this other phone.
Okay.
Because I'm.
Got you.
Hi.
Hi.
Are we here?
Yeah.
Okay, so I come to the relationships, any type of relationship, particularly romantic ones, with a different idea than marriage, or a different idea than even this is intended to last forever. I would like for it to, but that's not what's at the forefront of my mind. What's at the forefront of my mind is who are we in relationship to one another? How are we helping one another come into a greater realization of our authenticity, of our calling is a word that I might use. Our calling in life are the relationships that I'm invested in helping me move toward that place. And am I giving a person an opportunity each day to live as fully as they want to live, just as much as I would want to live as fully as I want to live? And so if I encounter someone who has an expansive love style, who am I to say you need to miss out on your joy, your desire, because I feel insecure? Because I think that's what it is. It's really funny for me. The person who has loved me the rightest is the person who is in a relationship with somebody else. And that's mind-boggling to me as a person who for an extended period of my life was looking for marriage, was looking for this sort of perfect picture of what I thought it would be. But when life spoke to me and gave me everything I was ever seeking in the person of someone who is polyamorous, I think it would be folly on my part to say that's not it. I think
Folly. That's another word.
It was. I think more than anything, and you know, this is just my personal take. I feel like in this lifetime, however many lifetimes we have, I don't know, but I feel like in this life, my lesson is love and expansive love. And I feel like more than even creating space for somebody else to be who they are, I'm creating space for myself to be more expansive, to be more open, to be I guess surprised pleasantly by what life can provide one with, right? Like if I always have on blinders because I'm so convinced that it is supposed to be this way, there's so much that we miss out on. Think about if we're looking at just where we're going on a pavement. We're missing flowers. We're missing butterflies. We're missing a fight that might be jumping off over here. So we need to be careful of that. We're missing so many things going on around us because we're like this. But if and this is my thought, and I'm gonna close there. If my conception of God, spirit, the universe is expansiveness and openness, and everybody is included in that love, everybody is included in that interconnectivity, everybody is included in that ecology, then I think for me to reflect that same spirit, there's a call to me to be expansive. So that means I don't cancel people because they made a mistake. That doesn't mean I have to still be in relationship with them. That doesn't mean that I need to still be intimate with them. But it does mean that I don't just throw somebody away. That expansiveness means that I'm open to listening and hearing from spirit wherever spirit may be found. That expansiveness means that that there are some things that I don't know, and I ought to be open to learning them. That's humility, I think. That's vulnerability. And I think that ultimately that sort of risk and that sort of openness lends itself to joy and happiness.
I agree.
Yes.
I agree. Sue, would you like to add anything to that as we prepare to close out? Thank you so much, Dr. Elyse, for that. That was, I'm feeling warm and fuzzy.
Yeah.
I feel like I got a couple calls I need to make.
Think about it. The warm and fuzzy take you somewhere you don't want to go, darling. But
yeah, that's got that right.
Use wisdom and discernment with this warm and fuzziness. No, just thank you, Dr. Elyse. This was just amazing, and I wish we had more time. This time like really flew by, and of course people are asking for a part 3, and as this was what happens every week with the show. Can we have the next part next week? Yeah, but definitely, please, we hope that you will come back again, in one of our future shows and spend some time with us and hang out with us and share some more of your wisdom. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Doc, could you give us your Cash App? And Sue, could you type it into the comments since I can't put anything into the comments for anyone that wants to sow a seed for the knowledge you shared today?
What is that? I think it is $ Elyse A. It's my picture there. So if you don't see me, don't send it to that person. But it should be $A.
Or if you would need us to get in touch with her so that you can reach out to her and support her work in this world. She is phenomenal. Please, please, please feel free to do that. We thank you for your time. We thank you for everything, and just what a blessing you've been. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
I appreciate y'all and everybody who has chatted and all those wonderful things, everybody who's joining us. Thank you, everybody, for engaging this moment. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to let you go, and Sue and I are prepared to just finish closing on out, but you enjoy the rest of your time. Whew, what a conversation.
Yes.
I keep saying that it just needs to be longer, but we know we'll make it longer and they feel that it needs to be longer. And unfortunately, we cannot continue this conversation next week, because next week we have the CEO of Swank Entertainment LLC and the co-host of Affairs of the Heart and our own sibling, the Wayne Queen, will be with us next week. No, I ain't see him today, but next week we will be having a conversation about necessary work. You know, what happens when the conversations that you must do, the things, what happens when you've evolved?
Right.
And your life changes and it takes you out into the world. You know, as LGBTQ people, there are certain conversations that we have to have. There's certain things that we need to talk about that doesn't always lend itself to our communities the way they used to, especially when we've changed. So next week, we're talking about the evolution of self. What happens when we change and something about us changes, and then we our work is out in the world? You know, how does that show up? And so I'm really, really excited to be able to engage that conversation.
Yes, me too.
And again, if you enjoyed this show and you are interested into having some time, you know, you can join us here on the Walking Heavy page. We stream every week on Walking Heavy. We stream on YouTube as well. So please, please, please invite everyone to follow us on the Walking Heavy show online. And if you would like to support our individual works, we have Cara Solutions and so much more. So it's like so much more. But
I'm a Jamaican.
Yes, you are literally. But for her work. And you can also support Pink Love Wellness, which is my work. And so we thank you for being with us today. We thank you for your time. And in the meantime, you know, in between time, as we always say, keep on walking. And so now, if you missed the intro, we're going to play it on the outro, and we thank you and enjoy the rest of your day. This was made by Cara Solutions. Have a good one.
Bye, y'all. Peace out. Right.